Welcome back, everybody, to our next and last day of EREC conferences. I'm really happy to have you all back here. And with me today is Alexis Katechakis from EURIC. He will talk a little bit about where waste management will go in the next few or maybe even many years. And of course, towards all our goal, the circular economy. Before we start, I would just love to thank you all for being here, being a part of EREC, our first time. It's been lovely, really. Just to give you some numbers, we've had over 2,500 registrants for the different webinars here, and it's been just very exciting to have you all here. But I don't want to talk too much. It's your time, your stage, Alexis. Please tell us what you are all about.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Felix, and good morning, everyone. Also from my side, I'm Alexis Katechakis. I'm one of the managing directors of fors.earth, and yeah, we will have a little small seminar today with the title Quo Vadis, Waste Management from Classical Disposal and Recycling to a Circular Economy. And I'm here today together with my colleague Theresa Erben, who will also support us in conducting our today's webinar. Who are we? We are a strategic consultancy based in Munich. We only deal with topics of sustainability. And as sustainability is really an intrinsic motivation for us, we also only work for clients who really mean it, who really want to make a change towards the sustainable development of our society. And what we do is we mainly develop corporate sustainability strategies, but also corporate strategies related to sustainability issues. And we help our clients implement them, which also includes organizational and team development if necessary, branding and communications. And we do a lot of moderations, trainings, and keynotes in this context. And this will be kind of also the tonality and the level we will reflect on our today's topic. So I won't dive into deep regarding circular economy, waste and recycling management, but we will have some insights on a strategic level and a business development level. These are a couple of our clients we work with, just to show you that sustainability, of course, is not restricted to specific industries or corporations anymore. It's really a topic relevant for the entire economy and the entire society. And this is also very relevant, of course, for the waste and recycling industry, because as you all know, the expectations of these different industries and company in the context of sustainability towards the recycling and waste management industry have changed and are considerably changing over the next years. And this is something we want to talk about a little bit in the next 30 to 35 minutes. So when we talk about sustainability, we have kind of two frameworks as guidelines, as compasses. The one on the left side are the global goals for sustainable development the United Nations have defined, and I hope that all of you are familiar with those. And on the right side, it's the planetary boundaries as defined by the Stockholm Resilience Center. And both these concepts are also very relevant for the waste and recycling industry. The United Nations goals for sustainable development are more kind of social political goals that refer to basic aspects of our livelihood, like, for example, no poverty, no hunger, good health and well-being. But they include also some goals that are related to business and corporations, like, for example, number 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure, 12, responsible consumption and production, or 17, partnerships for the goals. And as we will see, hopefully over the next 30 minutes, these kind of goals are also very relevant today and in the future for the waste and recycling industry. On the right side, the planetary boundaries are also very relevant because they relate to our ecosystems and ecosystem functioning. And as you can see, we see some dimensions here very familiar to us, like climate change, ocean acidification, freshwater use. but there are also some others that are maybe not that familiar to most or many of us, like biosphere integrity, which is related to topics of biodiversity, or the biochemical flows referring to phosphorus and nitrogen. And all of these dimensions are relevant also for the recycling and waste management industry. We will see that they play also a major role when we talk a little bit later on about circular economy. So why is sustainable development necessary at all, and what role does waste and recycling industry play here? To give you some basic framework or insights, well, over the last decades, we experienced a tremendous growth, rise of life quality globally spoken, which is reflected also in a couple of economic KPIs, like, for example, the rise of GDP, and also tremendous growth of our world population, which shows that we are on a good way of improving life qualities and economic growth on the one hand side. But of course, as we all know, this has also a price, and this is on the cost of natural resources and ecosystem depletion. And here's also where we find topics that are again closely related to the waste and recycling industry, because here again you see it's about the change of biochemical flows, it's about waste generation and how we can deal with it. It's about topics again like climate change. If you look at the concentration development of methane, and you know that more than 90% of anthropogenic methane comes from landfills today, you see that there is a huge responsibility on the one hand side for economy and the waste and recycling industry, but also huge opportunities to contribute to benefits and to an improvement of the situation, because this is actually what we need. Because if you have a look at this picture, you see that we are running in kind of a funnel that narrows and that limits our degrees of freedom in how to shape our future and our ecosystem and societal functioning. And we are at the risk to run into what we call kind of unsustainable spaces that in the long run won't be sustainable in ways of resilience and stability. So the question is, to society, how can we manage to widen this horizon again, to rise the degree of freedom we have in the future? And on the social political level here, again, the Sustainable Development Goals play a major role, and on a business and corporation level, we have to think and see where do we have levers to contribute in a positive way. And we will see later on, everything is about creating a positive impact in terms of reducing footprints and increasing societal, economic, and environmental benefits. So question is, how is the recycling industry coping in regard to sustainability? And this is a question we don't want to answer ourselves. I don't want to carry oaths today to Newcastle. You are the experts of the industry. So we would like to include you a little bit in the discussion and give you the opportunity to share your insights and experiences. And we will do this by letting you rate a couple of hypotheses we have prepared. And we would like to do this using a tool called Mentimeter. And I would like to ask you to use now your mobile devices to log into the survey. You can do this either by scanning this QR code you see here on the right-left side. For those of you who own an iPhone, for example, just take a picture and you will be directed directly to the survey. The other option is to enter www.menti.com into your browser, and then you will be asked to enter a code, which is 9364610. And I will go to the next slide, and on the right side you will see once again the QR code on the top right, and in the middle you will see again the website, the URL you have to enter, www.menti.com, and the code 9364610 you will need to access the survey. And once you've done this, you will find 5 hypotheses I will introduce you to in a second, and we will ask you to rate those on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 means, well, I strongly agree with this hypothesis, with this statement, and 1 means I strongly disagree. And feel free to choose any kind of other rating on the scale in between 1 and 10. So the first hypothesis we would like to discuss with you is the recycling industry is already very sustainable. So again, if you strongly agree, it's a 10. If you strongly disagree, it's a 1 or something in between. Second hypothesis, recycling companies already fully realize their potential to contribute to the sustainable development of society. Sustainable development here again defined in terms of the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations and the planetary boundaries as just discussed. Third hypothesis, the recycling industry is well connected along its value chains. So what we see is that the waste and recycling companies are very strong at the end of life of products, but we will see later on that there is also a rising demand to give advice and offer solution across entire value chains. So if you think that you are well prepared for this already, again, it's a 10. And if you think there is still a lot to do, then it's rather a 1. Number 4, recycling companies give essential impulses to their business partners along the value chain on how to act sustainably. So this is a hypothesis related to the question of cooperating with your business partners, maybe even establishing new business models, something we will discuss later on. And the last hypothesis is circular economy offers multiple chances for business development in the recycling industry. I hope that everybody has logged in and is already rating, and I will jump to the next slide. Yes, and we see already some first ratings. In the circles, you see the respective average related to each of these hypotheses. And in the background, these curves, this is kind of the distribution. We have 7 people who rated these hypotheses. So of course, this is not statistically representative, but I think the average numbers give us some first insights. And I will try to interpret those in short. So the first hypothesis, the recycling industry is already very sustainable. Well, here you agree that you have done some effort, but that there is still a lot of potential to go. And this is also what most of you think. And this is connected also to the second hypothesis. You are saying that there is still a lot of potential where the recycling and the waste industry can contribute to a sustainable development of society, which on the one hand side is sad to see, but on the other hand side is also, of course, related to a lot of business opportunities that lie here within. Next hypothesis, the recycling industry is well connected along its value chain. Well, we see here kind of 3 fractions among the 12 participants who have rated. And in some, you are also saying that, well, there are some connections across the value chain, but my interpretation here would be that there is also a lot of potential here to get connected with business partners beyond direct clients, so to say. Fourth hypothesis, recycling companies give essential impulses to the business partners. Here it's the same picture, also 3 fractions and a rather low rating. Maybe it's not the time yet that it was necessary to give those impulses to your business partners and clients, but we will have more insights later on to different industries, and you will see that this is exactly an expectation current or future clients of the recycling and waste industry have towards your industry, to give more impulses and become more cooperative regarding the experience you have. And this is also in accordance with the last hypothesis. Circular economy offers multiple chances for business development. Here, actually, most of you agree that there are a lot of possibilities, a lot of opportunities in here. And this is also something we will reflect on in 10 minutes, more or less. So thank you very much for this rating. And we would like to continue this because now we have had a first insight of what sustainability means to your industry and how it will develop over time and which opportunities lie here within. The next question is, what's the ambitious level you want to tackle those opportunities? And I would like to give you some insights into concepts we like to use, because from our business, we've experienced over the last years and decades that, of course, the topic of sustainability has changed in its importance for different companies. And you see here on the far left side, the origin, if you want to say so, of sustainability is kind of a giving back attitude, a mindset of corporate citizenship, which is actually a very old mindset that, if you want, goes back to the Old Testament and the Israelites, but this would be another story to tell. But this is something that companies always were aware of, that they are part of society, and that it would be nice, at least, if they also give something back to society they rely on. On the far right side, you see the most modern way of how to deal with sustainability in a company, and this is to really make sustainability become the business model as such. And this is something we see in our daily work only in a few startups so far that were really founded to create sustainability as a business model. And this is not NPOs or NGOs, it's really entities who aim to make money and be economically successful, but this is still the exception. And then you see a lot of stages in between. And the second stage would be that sustainability, of course, plays a role for legal compliance and the license to operate. Stage 3, this was kind of the 90s of the last century, is that sustainability became a management aspect. All of you are aware of management systems like EMAS, which are related to kind of classical KPIs of sustainability and environmental aspects like energy consumption, fresh water usage, and so on. And then number 4, this was the time when sustainability gained relevance also for communications, for marketing, for reporting. But this was kind of still on a very unspecific and non-strategic level. It was more the expectation of society towards corporations to also show what they do in the field of sustainability. Do they take their corporate responsibility seriously? And this was kind of a quite wide variety of different topics the companies were asked to address. Stage number 5, this is, so to say, the first stage where sustainability becomes strategic, because this is when the topic of materiality became important. This means here the expectation towards corporations developed that they should also contribute to a sustainable development out of the core business, using their core expertise, and not do anything they could do, but focus on those topics where they can really make a difference. And the further development is stage number 6, where sustainability becomes really part of the core business. And this is also mainly the stage we work in, where we try to help companies develop their core businesses related to sustainability issues, but also opportunities that derive from there. And again, we would like to include you and would like to ask you 2 questions using Mentimeter once again, as you just did. And the first question is, on which of these 7 stages do you see your industry, the waste and recycling industry, today? And the second question is, which stage, in your opinion, should the industry achieve in the future, or could it achieve in the future? Again, please use the Mentimeter tool, and you will find 2 slides to answer these questions and make your choice. And I will jump to the next slide already, where hopefully we will see first ratings in a second. Okay, so far nobody has made a suggestion. If you have problems entering the tool, on the top you see again the website you have to enter, www.menti.com, and the code you need to enter the survey. And if there are no ratings, my interpretation would be that maybe you haven't thought about these different stages so far, or you don't have an opinion of where the industry stands today and where it should develop. So if this is the case, please allow me to go back once again to these different levels and maybe give you our impression so far. As I said before, we see that the waste and recycling industry is very strong at the end of life of products. And our impression is that this is pretty much connected to level number 3, where it is pretty much about management systems. And maybe this is also the so far or main expectations from your clients in the last years and decades. But going on in the webinar, you will see that this is actually tremendously changing towards a more strategic approach that then will be connected and related to stages number 5 and 6 in the future. So I will go once again to the slide with the rating, but I see that nobody has made a suggestion here. So I will continue with the next topic. And this is the question.
Alexis,
yes, please.
To interrupt you. Could it be possible that the connection of your slide has a quick problem, because it seems like there are some people who have already given an opinion on that, but it seems to not appear with you.
This might be a problem.
But I don't want to interrupt you. You can of course just go on.
Thank you for your note. Let me exit the presentation for a second and re-enter it and see if then we can see first ratings.
Sure.
Okay, let's see if something changes when I activate the presentation again. Okay. Just let me ask my colleague Teresa, do you see any ratings on the internet? Okay, she has no result so far neither. So maybe we can come back to this later on. She will check our website to see if we can find ratings there, and then I will come back to those if there are any. But for time reasons, just let me continue with the presentation, because the next question would be, how is the role of the recycling industry changing in the future? And we've talked now about sustainability, we've talked about the UN nations development goals in sustainability, we have talked about the planetary boundaries, and we have seen some different levels of how to deal with sustainability in corporations on a strategic level. And actually, also for the recycling and the waste industry, everything is and will be about creating a positive impact in the future. And positive impact, as we define it, is a quotient between reducing a footprint, as you can see in the denominator here, and contributing to benefits for society and the environment, as you can see here in the numerator. And from our experience working with a lot of different companies in different industries, we see that those companies who can manage to make this quotient become very big, this means to create a positive impact as big as possible, also will be economically successful in the future. And to relate this to the waste and recycling industry, just let me give you two examples where we see that the recycling industry is very strong already, is in helping society and the clients reducing footprints. Here are some figures, some statistics from recycling rates of different waste streams as they have developed over the last years. And we see that overall the recycling rate in the European Union is okay already. It's more than 50%. We all know, however, also that this doesn't mean that materials are really reused, but sometimes it's about downcycling, sometimes it's about burning materials. So also related to your ratings you made before regarding the hypothesis, you see that there is also a lot of potential here to help clients and society further reduce their footprints. And this is also an expectation from different industries, as we will see later on. Where it becomes a little bit less specific is when we start to talk about how can you as the industry contribute to benefits. And this is where the concept of circular economy comes in. This is a graphic from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and I won't go into detail for time reasons, but if you want to learn more, just visit their website and you will find more details here. But what you see here is that this whole concept of circular economy again is based on the planetary boundaries, as we have just discussed them, and the necessity to come back into those boundaries where we have already exceeded them. And on the right, you see also in this red circle that it's not only about reducing footprints anymore, but it's really about increasing positive impact. And this is again the concept I have showed you a minute ago. And the question here is, well, how can you contribute as an industry to improve benefits and reduce footprints? And as we see from the European Green Deal, this is also becoming more and more relevant on a legal framework perspective. Here on the right side, you see one strategic field as part of the Green Deal that is called transition to a circular economy. And here you will find all these aspects we have already discussed, because it's about sustainable products, it's about empowerment of society, it's about less waste, and it's not about only about circularity for products or companies, but it's about circularity for people, regions, and cities. This means for the entire society. And the question for recycling waste industry will be, what kind of role can and want you to play here in the future? So, and this is a question we don't want to answer ourselves only, but what we did is we asked different partners, different clients we have, and we discussed with them a little bit the question, which possibilities does the recycling industry have to generate positive impact? And we addressed clients and partners from the chemical industry, from the automotive industry, from the retail industry, and from the textile industry. And we asked them two specific questions. First question was, what do you expect from the recycling industry in the future? And second question, which particular consulting or supporting services would you expect from the waste management and recycling companies in the future? I have to say that these are only some qualitative statements, so of course they are not representative, and it are non-official statements, and this is very important to say, because it's statements from people we trust in and who trust in us. So it's not necessarily the statements of the company they represent. And to give you the insights now, in the chemical industry, referring to the first question we asked, well, of course, waste management as such is still a very important topic. It's about avoiding waste. It's about better collecting and separating and sorting materials at the end of life. But it's also about trying to recover everything possible along the value chain. So you see the first two bullet points, they refer to, so to say, the classical business concept of the waste and recycling industry. The second already reaches out to the value chain. And if you go back to the hypothesis you rated, you yourself said, well, there is still a lot of potential here in addressing the entire value chain. And this relates also to collaboration and consulting expectations, where our partners in the chemical industry, and we talked here especially to Evonik and Covestro, say, well, we need new recycling methods. technologies, either chemical or mechanical, for recycling, but we need also common design. We need common approaches to design products from the scratch together, including the expertise of the waste and recycling industry from the beginning, which might lead also to new business models. And here you see the statements, the quotes received. People said, well, the recycling expertise could be integrated to a much higher degree into the product design and innovation and R&D. We need more advice on the feasibility of new innovation projects regarding the end-of-life stage, and sharing of ideas and impulses for implementing a circular economy beyond the technological requirements would be very valuable for us. So it's a combination of classical business concepts in the waste and recycling industry, but also a lot of new business opportunities that still have to be found and defined. We find a similar picture going to the automotive industry. We work a lot for the Volkswagen Corporation and its brands, and here resource use, especially in the after-sales phase, is very important for the industry, especially when we're talking about the electrification of the powertrain. And here is also obviously a need for new kind of collaboration and consulting aspects with a focus on closing loops across the entire value chain. And in the automotive industry, it's especially about controlling parts and material flows in the after-sales phase, as I said, and new strategic partnerships are needed here. So statements received here are that our clients say, well, the recycling system is far from perfect regarding the expectations and needs we have today and will have, especially in the future. And recycling of materials has to be improved to also meet the expectations not only of the legal authorities but also of society. They say it is an illusion to believe that 95%, as demanded by legal authorities, of the weight of new cars consists of recycled materials. There's still much improvement needed, and therefore there is also kind of a call for enhanced cooperation with the recycling industry across value chains. A necessity for tailor-made recycling instead of one-size-fits-all recycling, and maybe also the potential for joint ventures. Indeed, we see first examples for that, for example, cooperations between BMW and Interzero in this field. So there is really opportunity for business development and strategic development of the waste and recycling industry here. We also talk to clients from the retail industry. We work a lot for the Schwarz Group, which consists of Lidl and Kaufland. Here, it's a lot about packaging, and statements here are, well, we need an advanced recyclability of products and packaging, also again across the entire value chain. And we need also new solutions for reusable packaging. And we would like to see an early integration of cooperation and consulting with the recycling industry across the entire value chain, and the starting point could be our own brands, as our clients say, and they would like to support collaboration between retail and recycling industry to make it also easier for customers. And this is maybe also an interesting aspect for the recycling and waste management industry, that here we enter also the sphere of B2C communication and product development. The last insight we want to give you is from the textile industry. We talk to different independent experts and to Phoenix. Phoenix includes brands like Fjellreven or Globetrotter. And here it's of course about the textiles, and a little bit similar to the chemical industry. There is also a need for technical solutions for better sorting and reusing of different kinds of textiles in this context, especially also as downcycling won't be an option and won't be accepted any longer in the future. And again, as we've seen from the other industries, there is a call for more collaboration and consulting. The industry here expects clear instructions from you as the specialist in the recycling and waste management industry, information about what is technically feasible today in the future, There is also an openness for cooperation, again, across value chains, and there is also an expectation or opportunity to support already when designing products. And what we found interesting as a last statement here is that the experience here seems to be that the recycling and waste industry here is rather reactive, and the textile industry would like to see the recycling industry to become a little bit more active, and maybe also take the role of a change agent in this context. So to sum this up, we see that the expectations from these different industries, of course, differ to some extent, but there are also a lot of things in common, which I would like to summarize as a call for new partnerships across value chains, not only at the end of life of products, but starting really in the R&D and with designing products. And there is also a wish towards the recycling industry to act maybe more as a change agent in this context. And this again shows you that there are a lot of opportunities here, and it's up, of course, to the industry and to the specific corporations inside the recycling industry of how to deal with it and how to answer these calls. So last question here, what does this implicate for business development and the recycling industry? And here we enter kind of the sphere of strategic decisions. And I would like to share a very basic, rough concept here with you. It is absolutely okay, of course, to say, well, our core business is the waste management and recycling industry is to help our clients reduce their footprints, as we have discussed, referring to the concept of creating a positive impact. So this would be the denominator here. And this is exactly where we think also the core expertise so far of the waste management and recycling industry lies. And this is also related, of course, on the right side to compliance, license to operate, not only from a legal perspective, but also from a social acceptance perspective. Where it becomes even more strategic is if you decide that you say, well, our goal is to achieve a kind of zero impact and to help our clients achieve a zero impact, referring to the planetary boundaries. And here we enter the stage of materiality and also strategic decisions regarding your specific business development and the products and services you offer or maybe want to offer in the future, where you see also the opportunities, the potential to set benchmarks in your competitive environment. And the last stage would be, and this is maybe the most promising, but also the most challenging, is to achieve really a positive impact. This means to combine the other two concepts of reducing footprints and generating benefits, because this might lead into new transformative pathways and business models, which on the other side also give the opportunity for unique selling points, for positioning your organization towards your clients and across value chains, and to differentiate yourself in your competitive environment. So these, as I said, are really strategic decisions. There is no right or wrong. It's just something you have to decide, because from there it derives or it affects also the different entities, different business units in your different companies. And to relate this again also to the different levels, the stages of how to deal with sustainability in the corporations, you see that reducing the footprint, as said before, is pretty much related to management systems. Zero impact, here we enter the stage of materiality and first strategic decisions, and positive impact, there you really go into your core business with all challenges, but also opportunities that derive from there. So Teresa just gave me some insights regarding, I will jump back to the question we asked you before, because indeed some of you rated where you see the waste and recycling industry today regarding these different levels of how to deal with sustainability in a corporation, and where you see or where you would like to see the recycling industry in the future. And the average values are for question number 1, it's a 3.8. So this would be exactly what I assumed also, that you see the industry pretty much on this management level. Let me jump back one slide. So it's between environmental management systems and some unspecific CSR topics you address here. And you answer number 2 with a 6.3. So this is also very nice to see, because this is exactly where we just ended. You also agree that sustainability has the potential and maybe also has to be included in the core business. And this relates very nice to this pyramid I just introduced to you. Let me jump back to this pyramid for a second. Because your first rating, this 3.8, would relate also to the basis of this pyramid, where it's about reducing footprints, and the 6.3 would really enter this realm of achieving a positive impact, as discussed before. So this is very nice to see, because I think it is also in accordance with the expectations from the different industries we just discussed and we received some insights from. And the last exercise, and this is also the end of the webinar, we would like to do with you, is to ask you once again, which positive impact do you expect or do you want to see from the recycling industry in the future? And we would like to imaginary beam yourselves in the year 2050 and ask yourself the question, which positive impact do you expect the recycling industry to have generated? So looking back maybe in 2050 on your career in the recycling and waste management industry, what would you like the industry to have achieved? And use please Mentimeter once again to answer this question. You will find fields where you can simply type in your answer, your expectations, your wishes. And if you want to, you can also say which organization you represent, but of course this is not a must. And I will jump to the next slide, where we hopefully, I hope it works now technically, see some first impressions from your side. And I will just leave this slide opened, and hopefully yeah, you will get also some insights and impressions from the participants here. And in the meanwhile, we have 3 minutes left. I would like to give you also the opportunity to comment or ask any further questions you might have using the chat. And my colleague Teresa and also Felix, our moderator, will try to cluster them a little bit, and we will try maybe to answer at least 2 to 3 questions in the remaining time. For the moment, thank you very much already for your participation and for your attention. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them and also share any kind of comments you might have. Thank you very much.
Well, Alexis, thank you so much. It was really fun. Thank you so much. Thanks to fors.earth so much for being a part of this and sharing your insight. Really inspiring what you've done here. Thank you for that. Perfect. Yeah, we are waiting for a few questions coming in. And while we do so, let me ask you one more thing. You've been talking a lot about it being a business model, sustainability becoming a business model. What would you say? We've got already a few achievements in that special field, but when would you say are there really going to be big players making money on sustainability?
Well, actually, there are big players already. As you have seen, maybe from the clients we're working with, it's mainly bigger corporations, and sustainability, so to say, has become a necessity for future success. To give you just two examples, one from the automotive industry, as explained, we work a lot for Volkswagen and different brands. And here it's everything about climate change and how the automotive industry or the mobility industry can and has to contribute to tackle this issue of climate change. And this is why we see all these developments towards an electrification of the power strain. We're talking about hydrogen combustion and so on. And the other topic is here, and this is also related again to the waste and recycling industry. How can we manage to close material and also energy loops here? And this has become part of the core business of all these OEMs, these manufacturers. So it's not the question, how can sustainability contribute to business success? It's more the question, if we don't deal with these challenges, will the company in the future still exist? And will it be accepted as a corporation in society? A second example, and this is one example that really carries sustainability in its core business, is Veramaris. Veramaris is a joint venture of DSM and Evonik, and Veramaris tries to make aquaculture become independent from marine resources. At the moment, it's like this, that in aquaculture, wild fish is used to produce feed for example, salmon, which is not sustainable because of overfishing. It's not efficient. And Veramaris has found a way to substitute fish oil in this context by algal oil. This means to decouple the aquaculture production from natural systems. And this is a tremendous success because aquaculture in our days already delivers as much protein as wild catches from the oceans, and the wild catches are already limited. So again, here we see that sustainability is a necessity for future business success. It's not, so to say, a choice anymore, and this is something we experience in different industries across different value chains already.
Well, perfect. Thank you for that insight as well. Our time's sadly already up. Alexis, do you have some contact data for you, for anybody who wants to get in contact with you, maybe know some more things?
Yes, sure. Let me share the data in a second.
Perfect.
Yes,
so,
feel free to contact us for more information, for more background and discussion whenever you like. We would highly appreciate it.
Perfect. Yeah, I would love for everybody to get in contact with you for any further questions, anything you want to know, just ask them. I believe they will be able to help you very nicely. Alexis, thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure for us. Thank you for for being here, and yeah, have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you. Thank you for having us, and yes, have an inspiring afternoon. Thanks.
Perfect. I would love to have you all back for our next webinar with Christian Polklesner from AMCS, starting in 10 minutes at 11 a.m. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.